Well, hello, and welcome to the Olympus Mons YouTube channel. Olympus Mons, of course, being I named the channel after another YouTube channel that does music reviews, and named itself the Sea of Tranquility, which of course is a location on the moon. And I thought, oh, that's kind of unique and something that other channels probably haven't done before. So I figured I'd name myself after Olympus Mons, which is the known highest peak in our solar system, which happens to be on Mars. And so, yeah. Anyway, I thought for today I would, I've been a Weird Al Yankovic fan ever since I was a kid. I've been pretty much obsessed with Weird Al, and he's going back on tour this year. He's bringing back the Ill-Advised Vanity Tour. In fact, he calls it the unfortunate return of the Ill-Advised Vanity Tour. And so I thought this would be a good opportunity to rank Weird Al Yankovic's albums from what I consider to be his least best. And when I say least best, obviously I can't say worst because Weird Al, he's such a good songwriter. His band is top notch, and this is his songwriting is great and the performances are great. So I can't really call it worst because even Weird Al's worst albums are still listenable, and I can still sing along to them because I know most or all of the words, and I can still enjoy listening to them because they're by Weird Al. And even the bad songs that he parodies have seen an improvement when Weird Al does his version. So from least best to what I consider to be his best albums. Now, of course, a list like this is always going to be somewhat arbitrary because even though there are objective things which go into writing songs, making good songs, and objective things regarding bad songs, at the end of the day, what hits us is not necessarily going to be the objective nature of whether a song is good or bad. And Weird Al Yankovic even more so, because as you look at each of Weird Al's albums, you can kind of trace the popular music styles of the day. And so if you think music has gotten worse over the years, then you can just basically say, well, Weird Al Yankovic has charted the decline of popular music over the years. But it is the case that he parodies and writes original songs based on styles that are popular at the time. So whatever styles are your favorite styles, even despite the objective nature of songwriting, songs hit us differently because they speak to us at an emotional level. So my favorite song is not necessarily going to be your favorite song. And when it comes to Weird Al specifically, his favorite albums or your favorite albums of his are going to be the albums that most clearly represent the styles of music that you prefer. And it's certainly no different with me. I am not a fan of modern pop music. There are some rock and roll bands that I enjoy, some modern rock bands that I love. But when it comes to pop music, it's just really, really in a terrible state. There's some great pop music in the 80s and 90s, but it's really gone downhill in the 2000s. So unfortunately, you always like to see an artist or band writing better albums as they progress throughout the years. But in this case, for the most part, Weird Al's later albums are some of my least favorites. So I apologize if you're going to get offended by me rating those lower, but that's just me. So yeah, so I'm not going to really do an exhaustive look at the albums, but I will look through some of the songs, kind of give you an idea of why I rated each album where I did, and maybe give you some tidbits about Al along the way. For example, I can just give you one real quick. I learned because I have the Encyclopedia of Contemporary Christian Music. There's a Christian rock band called PFR in the '90s, and when they were on their way to the Grammys, the big music awards ceremony, uh, they stopped by and picked up an artist whose car had broken down, and that artist was none other than Weird Al Yankovic. So Weird Al Yankovic was actually rescued by a Christian rock band called PFR, and according to the Encyclopedia of Christian Music, they had actually told uh, Weird Al that he should parody one of their songs. But of course, most Christian rock bands don't cross over into the mainstream. So Weird Al had probably never even heard of PFR, let alone wanting to parody any of their songs because very few people are really going to recognize them. Just people who know them specifically and are fans of CCM and things like that. So let's go ahead and get this. Let's go and get the ball rolling here. So at number 14, I picked Weird Al's latest album, Mandatory Fun. Now, of course, this is his last album, and from what he said, he's probably not going to record any more traditional albums like this. He has since recorded one song, the Hamilton Polka, which of course is a polka medley of songs from the musical Hamilton. But he's basically stated that he has no more plans to record traditional albums. If he does any more recording, it'll be through an electronic format. So unfortunately, it's his last album, but it's also my least favorite of his albums, just because so many of the bands he parodies or people he parodies make terrible music. Like Iggy Azalea, his lead song, a parody of "Fancy" by Iggy Azalea, which he makes handy. And even though his parody is about him as a repairman, he's written better songs about that. He made a parody of of uh, of "I'll Be There for You" by the Rembrandts and called it "I'll Repair for You." It's a rare song. I think he only ever performed it live, never really recorded it. But that was a song about him as a handyman, and he called it the Home Improvement theme song, which is a take on "I'll Be There for You" being the Friends theme song. And of course, he has "Hardware Store," which is just a much much better song than "Handy." In fact, all of his parodies on here are by bands and artists I just can't stand. Macklemore, of course, Blurred Lines. I like his parody Word Crimes because I can be kind of pedantic myself. But yeah, Blurred Lines is just an awful song. They parody a song by Imagine Dragons. I cannot stand Imagine Dragons. In my opinion, they're the most boring rock and roll band of the 21st century. I cannot stand them. And so I just can't listen to Weird Al's parody just because the song is so boring. Uh, but there are some gems on this album. The one parody I absolutely adore is Foil, his parody of Royals by Lord. And the twist at the twist for the second verse. I'm not going to spoil it in case you haven't listened. Go listen to it, but it's great. And of course, he has some originals. His sports song, which I really really love, is hilarious. And he does a pastiche of Foo Fighters, a song called "My Own Eyes," which is actually my favorite song on the album. So there are some gems on this, and of course his polka medley. Now that's what I call polka. You know, bringing in songs by Miley Cyrus, One Direction, Psy, Carly Rae Jepsen, Will I Am, and Britney Spears. Just a whole bunch of just terrible songs that he brings into a polka medley. And of course, the last song on the album, which he usually reserves for the longest song on the album. Not always. But he's kind of started that with Running with Scissors when he did the last song is Albuquerque, which is about 12 minutes long. So he started putting a longer song at or near the end. And Jackson Park Express, while it's a semi-humorous concept, just was not up to Weird Al's best material, especially even his best long songs at the end of the album. So I really had to rank Mandatory Fun as my least favorite. Number 13, UHF, Original Motion Picture Soundtrack and Other Stuff. Now, of course, this is the soundtrack to his movie UHF, and Weird Al is actually producing another movie with Funny or Die, which I'm hesitant about because it started as just like a short form, you know, mock trailer, which they're now expanding into a feature film. Not sure if it's going to work, but I'm going to hold out hope because, obviously I love Weird Al. He's hilarious. We'll see how the new movie is going to be. But UHF is a real great classic film, still as funny as it was the first time I saw it. And the reason I ranked it, second to last is, number one, it's not really a full album because, of course, he has some of the skits, which were the commercials on his UHF station from the movie. Things like Spatula City. What else? Gandhi 2, things like that. And he has a song on here. What is it? The list for some reason isn't showing every song, but he has that Attack of the Radioactive Hamsters from a Planet Near Mars, which is on this, which, okay concept. But again, on another album, he did a similar song to that, which I thought was actually better. His song Slime Creatures from Outer Space. And then, of course, Let Me Be Your Hog, which is like a little 5-second blurb because he wanted to do a parody, but couldn't get the rights to it. So, but there are some gems on here. Generic Blues, hilarious blues song. In fact, B.B. King actually listed it as his favorite uh, blues song ever written. So that's some high praise from BB King. And then of course UHF, great rock song. Although for some reason they take out the guitar solo for the single and the music video. Can't understand that because it's a great guitar solo by his guitarist Jim West. And then of course, so one of the reasons I rated it so low is just because it's not all music. It's some of the skits from the film, but also he does a parody of Money for Nothing by Dire Straits, which I absolutely love. But he basically just put the lyrics to the Beverly Hillbillies to it, and so it does a great job. But it's just it's not it's not great Al material. It's just there because of a sequence from the film. But actually, Mark Knopfler would only give him permission to do the song if Mark himself would be allowed to play the guitar on it. And so the funny thing is, Jim West, his guitarist, recorded a part for it, and his actually sounded more closer to the recording because Mark Knopfler had been touring with Dire Straits and was just real comfortable with the song and was just playing it like he did on tour, whereas Jim West was actually reproducing what you hear on the recording. So Jim West actually sounded more closer to the recording, but he he's going to have a legend like Mark Knopfler record guitar. Of course he's going to let Mark Knopfler record the guitar for that part. So great song, funny parody, but not among my favorites, even though I love the original that he parodied. So album number 12 is Weird Al Yankovic, his debut album. Now there's some stuff to enjoy here. Of course, he didn't have his band by this point, so a lot of it is really accordion driven instead of guitar driven. He has Buckingham Blues on here, which is an okay blues song, but Generic Blues from the UHF soundtrack is much better. He's got Gotta Boogie, which I love it. It's a funny little song, but it's really immature humor. And again, I won't spoil the twist on it, so go listen to that if you haven't heard it. It's called Gotta Boogie. And then, of course, My Bologna, classic Al track. Another one, Rides the Bus. So the reason I put this so low is because, number one, well, actually, it was produced by Rick Derringer, rock and roll legend Rick Derringer, who actually produced his first 2 or 3 albums, which is great. But, it's just a lot of the songs aren't really up to Al's later material, which of course you would kind of expect because it was his debut project. And then you have songs like Mr. Frump and the Iron Lung, you know, Such a Groovy Guy, which I don't really care for. I kind of like the Checks in the Mail. The Checks in the Mail is really funny, but yeah, it's just the production values and most of the songs just really aren't up to Al's later work, which is why I rated that one so low. But of course, it was the album that started it all, so who knows? Oh, by the way, this list is not going to include Weird Al's rarity album, Medium Rarities, which he released with his box set a few years ago, because I'm not rich, so I could not afford the box set, which means I don't actually have a copy of Medium Rarities. So I decided not to include that in the album. So this will just be his proper recorded albums. So number 11, Alpocalypse. Now, there's some great stuff on here, but again, I can't really. I mean, Lady Gaga is a great vocalist, great singer, great piano player, but her pop songs are just terrible. I can't stand "Born This Way," and of course, Weird Al's lead song from this album is "Perform This Way." And then, of course, he parodies other artists. I can't stand Taylor Swift, Miley Cyrus. Although his parody of Miley Cyrus is hilarious. It's probably my favorite song on the album is his Miley Cyrus parody of "Party in the USA." He calls it "Party in the CIA." I love that one. Now, one of his pastiches on this album is where is it? CNR, which is a pastiche of the White Stripes. And I again, White Stripes is another band I cannot stand. I think their songwriting is terrible. Jack White can't solo to save his life, but I really enjoy CNR. So I have some friends who love the White Stripes, so I have to kind of be careful how I talk about them. But I do tell people that Weird Al Yankovic wrote the only good White Stripes song. Of course, Craigslist, a pastiche of the Doors, in which he actually got Ray Manzarek himself to, before he passed away, to come on and actually play the organ for that. So that's cool. Then, yeah, his pastiche of Meatloaf, R.I.P. Meatloaf, but his pastiche of Meatloaf at the end, "Stop Forwarding That Crap to Me," hilarious song, timely song too. We've all had people sending us things which are just a bunch of nonsense, and obviously there's not enough hours in the day to devote to things like that. So Alpocalypse, Album number 11 for me. Album number 10, Straight Outta Lynwood. Um, yeah, so I enjoy a lot of the songs on here. This is actually getting to the point where he's starting to parody and pastiche artists, which I don't care for. But there's still enough on here to be an album that I really enjoy. White and nerdy. I'm not. The white nerdy is basically a song about me. I'm white as sour cream. So as you can imagine, I don't really have a very robust rap and hip hop collection, and I don't listen to a lot of it. Although there are some rap artists that I do appreciate, but I don't really care for Chameleon Air, but his parody of Ryden, White and Nerdy, hilarious, and pretty much my life story in a song. Really. Of course, he has Pancreas, which is a pastiche of the Beach Boys, no less. But it's a great song and educational as well, so you can't go wrong with that. He also has a pastiche of Rage Against the Machine, a song called "I'll Sue Ya," which is really funny. A song about frivolous lawsuits. His parody of Green Day, "American Idiot," a song called "Canadian Idiot," which is okay. Not among his best work. Um, yeah, Polkarama again. More songs I don't, more bands I don't really care for. Pussycat Dolls, Black Eyed Peas, Rihanna. Although he does include some that I do like: Weezer, Coldplay, The Killers, Velvet Revolver. So like I said, now it's starting to get to the point where it's kind of breaking away from the songs I enjoy to the to songs that I don't. Oh, his is another original of his, Virus Alert. Really, really great song. Yeah. So, Close but no cigar, his original song that I just, it's a humorous concept, but I don't think it's among his best work. And his long song for this album, Trapped in the Drive-Through, I at first heard. I had not heard R. Kelly's original, Trapped in the Closet. I have since given it a listen so that I can better appreciate the parody. But I was listening to this for the first time with my brother, and through all the mundane lyrics, I kind of looked over at him, and my brother just kind of laughs and says, "Yeah, the original is sort of like this." I mean, it's obviously more dramatic than Weird Al. His, the original was so dramatic that Weird Al, for humor, wanted to juxtapose the most mundane, boring lyrics he could think of to this dramatic song, and it works hilariously. It's great. It's really, really great song. Uh, so yeah, then that's the long song on this album, but it's not the last song. His last song is "Don't Download This Song," which is kind of a pastiche of those cheesy '80s "We Are the World" type albums. And uh, hilariously, he actually offered it as a free download on his website. So there you go. Okay, so number 9, Alapalooza. Now, Weird Al's albums from the '90s I really enjoy because, again, I grew up in the '90s, so I'm a kid of the '90s. So, I was listening to '90s alternative when I was in high school. So a lot of these bands he pastiches and parodies are bands I was listening to. Also, I got the Weird Al's signature here when I went to go see him when he was, selling his children's book that he published and giving signatures at a book signing. So, yeah. So again, I like a lot of these songs, but it's really not among his best work. Bedrock Anthem, parody of Red Hot Chili Peppers. I really enjoyed the Chili Peppers, but his song Bedrock Anthem just is not very inspired. And even one of the Chili Peppers themselves kind of, publicly said, he likes Weird Al, but he just didn't dig the parody here. Of course, Jurassic Park, a parody of MacArthur Park, which is actually an older song. Occasionally he'll parody an older one there. Traffic Jam, a pastiche of Prince, and of course Frank's 2000-inch TV, which is an original but a pastiche of REM. And I really enjoy Frank's 2000-inch TV. That's probably, well, one of my favorite songs on the album. My other favorite song would probably be Waffle King. If you listen closely to the songs I say are my favorites, I enjoy Weird Al's parodies, but my favorites are always his originals, which is why I've really enjoyed his Ill-Advised Vanity Tour, and I'm really looking forward to his unfortunate return of the Ill-Advised Vanity Tour, because he's playing, for the most part, all originals with a few exceptions. So yeah, so this is a dream come true for me personally. Yeah. So yeah, Living in the Fridge, his parody of Living on the Edge by Aerosmith. It's okay, sort of humorous, but again, not his best work. And yeah, She Never Told Me She Was a Mime is a funny concept, but it's more of like a single joke. It doesn't really work as a full-fledged song, where you have to expand it to 3 or 4 minutes and make three verses and a chorus and a bridge out of it. So yeah, Alapalooza. I like the album, but definitely not his strongest work. Number 8, In 3D. Now this was an early album by Weird Al. In fact, it was his second album, the one that followed up his original or his debut album, Weird Al Yankovic. So of course, iconic song "Eat It," which is a parody of "Beat It" by Michael Jackson. The video for that is hilarious too. "Midnight Star" is a song I really enjoy, which was actually a tabloid that Weird Al published early on in his career, called the Midnight Star. Uh, which I don't know how long it lasted. I don't think it was that long, but yeah. So some of these are amusing. King of Suede, his parody of King of Pain by The Police. Of course, theme from Rocky 13, where the champ is like old and fat and owns a deli now. Um, That Boy Could Dance. That one is another one of my life stories in a song. I was not popular in school growing up, but I was an accomplished musician, and I still am now. But I was a classically trained clarinetist and pianist, and when I would play in the band, even though the kids always picked on me and everything like that, when I was up on stage performing, it was almost like all bets were off, yeah. And then Polkas on 45, which yeah, let's see. Mr. Popeil, his pastiche of the B-52s. Buy Me a Condo, of course, his reggae song. I don't think it's a pastiche specifically of Bob Marley, or it could be, but it could just be a generic reggae song in and of itself. But he actually performed that one when I saw him on his Ill-Advised Vanity tour, and he before he played it, he talked about how he was talking about the immigration issue before it became popular. So yeah, there you go. Okay, let me scroll this down here. Okay, so coming up for number 7, we have Polka Party. Now, these next two albums, or at least this one, is not really among Weird Al's most popular. I really like it just because of the songs on it. But yeah, again, a lot of these not really his best work, but I really enjoy it because like I said, I was a Weird Al fan, when I was a kid. So I actually had most of these albums on cassette because my I was a kid and I predated CDs, so I had Weird Al albums like Polka Party on tape, cassette, before he actually released them on CDs. So yeah, I mean, it opens with a great song, a parody of "Living in America" by James Brown, and James Brown actually lent Weird Al his backup dancers, his musicians, the horn section, and I think even the stage that he came from the video for the Rocky song that "Living in America" appeared in. So yeah, James Brown was all about that, and even from what I understand, taught Weird Al how to do his dance moves. So that was great. "Living with a Hernia," a great song. "Doggy Dog" is a song I really like. Of course, you have "Addicted to Spuds," which is a parody of Robert Palmer's "Addicted to Love," which is okay. I mean, this it actually illustrates why I'm not huge into Weird Al's parodies, why I prefer his originals. Because when you parody a song, you're kind of limited by what the word is. Because "Addicted to Love," like what else can you write about but spuds? Like what else rhymes with love that would make that you could make a song out of? So I always thought Weird Al's originals are much better because they offer a lot more creative freedom. So to me, his parodies have almost been more like a gimmick than anything else. His originals have always been his best work, as far as I'm concerned. Again, he has a parody here of "Ruthless People," which was another song from a movie soundtrack by I'm blanking on his name, but the lead singer for the Rolling Stones from his did a solo song, "Ruthless People," and so Weird Al's version is "Toothless People," about people who don't take care of their dental hygiene and end up losing their teeth. So yeah, again, not among his best work, but it did give a couple of great songs. I mean, of course, there's "Polka Party," his polka medley for that, but "Good Enough for Now," which is my all-time favorite country song, just like "Generic Blues" is my favorite blues song. "Good Enough for Now," my favorite country song. It's hilarious, and of course his classic Christmas song, "Christmas at Ground Zero." So yeah, so yeah, there's that. Okay, so the next, and these two are kind of companion albums, I would say. Number 6 would be "Dare to Be Stupid." Now, of course, "Dare to Be Stupid" is Weird Al's signature song. He plays it at every concert, even his full parody dress up albums or concerts. He would perform "Dare to Be Stupid" dressed up. It's a Devo pastiche, so dresses up like Devo and plays it, and it's a great time. Of course, yeah. So I put it on here at number 6 primarily because "Dare to Be Stupid" is so iconic, but also because there are a couple other songs I love. "This Is the Life," which he actually wrote for the Johnny Dangerously soundtrack. It's a really, really great song. It's got some great piano, great solos. It's even got a clarinet solo in there, which I love because, of course, I'm a clarinet player as well as a pianist. So it's got piano and clarinet, the best of both worlds, and it's just a great song all around. So yeah, "This Is the Life" is probably my favorite song on this album. And then, of course, you have "One More Minute," another iconic Weird Al original, which was actually written because his real life girlfriend had broken up with him. And so in the video, he actually holds up a picture of her and actually tears up a real picture of her in the video. So that's how torn up Weird Al was over his girlfriend breaking up with him. So "One More Minute," of course, is an iconic song. Um, yeah, "I Want a New Duck," not a great parody, but it's still fun because it's a parody of Huey Lewis and the News. How can you go wrong with that? Parody of "I Want a New Drug." But then again, "Girls Just Want to Have Lunch," probably one of Weird Al's worst songs, and Weird Al would probably tell you that himself because he was actually forced to do that parody by his record label. It's the original was by Cyndi Lauper, "Girls Just Want to Have Fun," and his label insisted that I don't remember if they insisted he do a parody of that song specifically, or if they just insisted that he parody Cyndi Lauper. But either way, Cyndi Lauper was huge at the time, and they wanted a parody of Cyndi Lauper on there to try and increase sales for the album. So Weird Al just wrote that song. I think he wrote it poorly in protest, actually. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, but like I said, still listenable because the musicianship is great and it's Weird Al, so why not? Okay, so coming down now to the top 5. Number 5, of course, would be "Even Worse," which you can even tell the cover is a parody of Michael Jackson because Michael Jackson had his album "Bad," and Weird Al Yankovic is "Even Worse." So yeah, the very first song on the album is "Fat," a parody of "Bad" by Michael Jackson. Uh, yeah, some of Weird Al's most iconic songs are parodies of Michael Jackson. He actually wanted to parody a third song, his parody of "Black or White," and call it "Snack All Night," which you can actually find a kind of an archaic recording of. You can track it down online. But Michael Jackson actually nixed that parody idea because he felt the message of "Black or White" was so important that he didn't want a parody to kind of diminish the message of the song. So yeah, so "Fat," leading song on that. This song's just 6 words long. Parody of Ringo. Is it Ringo Starr or no, George Harrison? George Harrison's "I Got My Mind Set on You." Um, it's an okay song. "You Make Me," one of my favorite Weird Al originals. "You Make Me." It's for one thing, it's not just strict 4/4. He throws in some 2/4 bars every now and then, which adds a little bit of musical variety. But it's actually "You Make Me" is actually a pastiche of Oingo Boingo. So he uses a lot of like weird sounding instruments like tools and things like that. It's a really, really fun song. "Lasagna," of course, parody of La Bamba, which is not a straight parody because he doesn't do it in the Mexican style of La Bamba. He actually does it in an Italian style because of the song "Lasagna," and he sings it with an Italian accent. So that's kind of fun. "Melanie," another one of my favorite Weird Al songs. My favorite Weird Al love song, no doubt. "Melanie." Yeah. So yeah, it's a really, really great song. I knew a Melanie when I was in elementary school, but yeah. So really, really great love song by Weird Al. Then of course "Alimony," parody of "Moni Moni," but he parodies the Billy Idol version, not the original version there. "Velvet Elvis," he parodied a song by the Police on one of his other albums, but here he actually does a pastiche of the Police. It's called "Velvet Elvis," which he captures the Police sound perfectly. It's really, really great. If it weren't for the funny lyrics, you would have thought that the Police probably recorded it. And then "Good Old Days," the closing song, "Good Old Days." Well, Twister, of course, a pastiche of the Beastie Boys. I believe it's the Beastie Boys. But then Good Old Days, kind of a twisted song to end his album on. It's one of those. He has some songs where it starts off really serious, and then there's a humorous surprise twist that he throws in, which is the comedy of the song essentially. And Good Old Days is one of those, and it's pretty dark. So you have to be in the right frame of mind to listen to that one. All right, number four is one I do not have the album liner notes for. It's Poodle Hat. So I used Weird Al Yankovic Greatest Hits Volume 2, which has headline news on it, which is why I have it, because he doesn't have headline news on any of his regular albums. But I use this because I had Poodle Hat at one time, but it's gotten misplaced somewhere. I have no idea where. So so Poodle Hat is just I just have to use this as a placeholder. But anyway, Poodle Hat. Um, there's some artists on there I don't really care for, like Eminem. Not an Eminem fan, but his parody of Eminem, Couch Potato, is really great. And he does songs like Couch Potato, Cable TV, songs like that, which really kind of show why television can be detrimental to us. Couch Potato is from the perspective of a guy who loves television, but what it's kind of turned him into is the point of the song, that he's a couch potato, basically rotting his mind on television all day. So yeah, so it's got that message. And of course, this is the album that has Hardware Store on it. Hardware Store is, a really, really great song, and it's a complex song. In fact, when Weird Al was first doing his first ill-advised vanity tour, he actually said that he has some songs he's recorded that are just too complex to perform live. One of those is Hardware Store. It's got that really, really machine gun vocal bridge. Similar to Your Horoscope for Today, which is his ska song from Running with Scissors, but it's a lot faster. And he did not do it in one take. From what I understand, he actually did it slower and then sped it up to get it there. Because Weird Al is a great songwriter, great singer, great musician, but he's still human. So so Hardware Store is a fun song. And I'm not a fan of Nelly, but he has a parody of Hot in Here by Nelly called Trash Day, which is kind of amusing. Oh yeah, he has I have to do this one from memory because I don't have the liner notes in front of me. But of course, he parodies Billy Joel, Piano Man, and he calls it "Ode to a Superhero." It's about Spider-Man. Um, so I love Billy Joel. Love that. Love the Piano Man by Billy Joel. It's an iconic song. But "Ode to Superhero," not Al's best work. But if you're into Spider-Man, especially the Spider-Man movie that the lyrics were based on, then you'll probably enjoy that song too. And he does a pastiche of Ben Folds 5, called "Why Does This Always Happen to Me?" And he actually got Ben Folds to record piano on that song. And so you've got the kind of the iconic Ben Folds piano playing, and he has an iconic Ben Folds-esque solo in there, after the second verse and chorus. So really, really great song. And you got Ben Folds in there. And as a pianist and keyboardist myself, I love Ben Folds. He's one of my favorite piano players, one of my favorite songwriters. So yeah. Okay, coming in at number 3 is Off the Deep End. Now, this is another one where he kind of spoofs an album cover, spoofs the cover of Nevermind by Nirvana, which has, of course, a naked baby underwater chasing a dollar bill. Here, Weird Al is naked. Well, he's wearing swim trunks, but or boxers or something, but he appears naked here, and he's chasing a donut underwater. So, yeah, that's very much Weird Al. Now, Off the Deep End, I actually kind of have a funny memory of this because, the last song is "You Don't Love Me Anymore," and kind of a great breakup song by Weird Al. But Nevermind, Nirvana's album, has a hidden track, and so Weird Al recorded a hidden track for this album, which he called "Bite Me," and it occurs around 13 or 14 minutes on the track, and it's just there to scare someone who forgot to turn the CD off. It starts with Weird Al yelling, and then the band is banging instruments, and so you got to remember to turn that off, otherwise you're going to get that in at the 13 or 14 minute mark. And I remember once very clearly when I was a kid playing a Sega Genesis while I was listening to Weird Al's Off the Deep End, and I was playing a Star Trek: The Next Generation game. In fact, this was it was so traumatic that it's burned into my memory. And yeah, so I just, that the You Don't Love Me Anymore came and went, and Bite Me came on, and it scared the bejesus out of me. So yeah, it definitely got me on at least one occasion. But of course, Off the Deep End, spoofing Nirvana's Nevermind. So of course, the first track is a spoof of Nirvana. It's called Smells Like Nirvana. Of course, a parody of Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana. Um, I can't watch this. A parody of You Can't Touch This by MC Hammer. I talked about how I didn't really don't really care for rap. I was actually an MC Hammer fan when I was a kid, and my very first concert I ever attended was an MC Hammer concert. My sister basically had to be. I don't know if she was bribed, but she had to be persuaded vigorously by my parents to take me to that MC Hammer concert. Oh, sorry for the sniffling, by the way. I'm actually recovering from a cold. I'm just about over it completely, but still have a little residual congestion. So yeah, Polka Your Eyes Out, a parody of some really good rock songs. You got Inner Sandman by Metallica, Cherry Pie by Warrant, uh, Doctor Feelgood by Motley Crue, things like that. His song "I Was Only Kidding," uh, not a great song. I mean, it's like I said, it's listenable, but it's amusing for a verse, and you can see you can see the twist coming. It's another one of those serious with a humorous, surprising twist, which you can see coming just based on the title of the song. But yeah, so it's not really a song I feel what should have been expanded into a full fledged song. It's more it's just basically the same joke over and over again. Oh, When I Was Your Age. Another Weird Al original, probably my all-time favorite Weird Al song. He unfortunately didn't play it live when I went to his Ill-Advised Vanity tour. I hope he'll play it live where I attend this year. But yeah, it's actually a pastiche of Don Henley. Yeah, you ever heard his song "Dirty Laundry"? Well, you really get "Dirty Laundry" vibes in "When I Was Your Age," especially the way that the organ is played. Of course, you have Taco Grande, parody of Rico Suave, which I had never heard, but I like Weird Al's version. Uh, yeah, Airline Amy, great love song by Al, and then of course, You Don't Love Me Anymore, the closing song, which is basically a breakup song. Okay, song number two. Or album number two, we have Bad Hair Day. Now, this is actually my second copy of Bad Hair Day because I actually lent this to. I had this when I was in high school, and I lent this to. I was in the high school band, marching band, and that kind of thing. I lent this to someone else in the clarinet section, and he forgot to give it back to me, and I forgot to ask him for it. So I ended up just getting another copy somewhere down the line. But yeah, so again, lead song on this album, Amish Paradise, a parody of Coolio. I wasn't really a rap fan, but I was definitely familiar with Gangsta's Paradise. And now, similar to Michael Jackson turning him down for Black or White, the very famous story regarding this, Coolio did not want Weird Al doing a parody of Gangsta's Paradise for the same reason. He thought the message of Gangsta's Paradise was too important. He didn't want a parody to kind of diminish the message. Well, essentially, Weird Al's people spoke to Coolio's people. Coolio's people gave Weird Al's people permission, so Weird Al did and released the parody. Coolio had never caught wind of it and was upset that Weird Al did the parody, that went ahead and did the parody, even though he didn't want him to. So, yeah, so that kind of went down. Weird Al's talked about how he's buried the hatchet with Coolio since then. He likes to joke around that Coolio's never going to invite him to a party, but at least now he can stop wearing that bulletproof vest whenever he goes out to the mall. Yeah, so that's a very famous event there. But yeah, so we have Everything You Know Is Wrong, another Al original, which is actually a pastiche of They Might Be Giants. And so, yeah, that's a fun song. Of course, Callin' in Sick, a song which I really enjoy, which you could consider to be a Nirvana pastiche. It definitely sounds like Nirvana, or it could really just be a pastiche of the whole grunge genre in and of itself. But of course, Nirvana being a grunge band, they're probably the band that it sounds the most like, the grunge band it sounds the most like. So I really enjoy that song. The alternative polka, yeah. Now we're getting into polkas that are really more my speed. So let's see, the alternative polka, yeah, Loser by Beck, Sex Type Thing by Stone Temple Pilots, All I Want to Do by Sheryl Crow, Closer by Nine Inch Nails. Not all of these bands and artists were bands that I listened to regularly, But they were bands and singers that I was definitely familiar with, and I think are definitely a cut above than the pop singers and musicians that are recording today. Um, oh yeah, "Bullet with Butterfly Wings," which is what I think that's a U2 song. Oh yeah, "My Friends" by Red Hot Chili Peppers. I really like Red Hot Chili Peppers. "Black Hole Sun" by Soundgarden. Yeah, a whole bunch of great bands there in the polka. Then of course he has an a cappella song, "Since You've Been Gone," which is really funny. His parody of "Lump" by the presidents of the United States of America, called "Gump," about Forrest Gump. I was really heavily into the presidents of the United States of America when I was in high school. So of course, I really dig Gump. Syndicated Incorporated, a parody of a song by Soul Asylum, their song "Misery," which is not a great song. The lyrics are kind of lame, and so I think that's the whole point of Syndicated Incorporated, is just how lame the lyrics are. It's just he puts in a bunch of television shows that rhyme, have the same long e sound at the end. Um, my whole family loves Three's Company. See the reruns constantly. They're on my TV. Mash and All in the Family, The Munsters and Mayberry RFD. I will always be busy watching my TV. So, yeah. Oh, I remember Larry. I was heavily bullied when I was a kid, and so I really relate to. I remember Larry a lot. I was not someone, obviously the protagonist, and I remember Larry got so fed up with the bullying that he ends up killing the guy, the bully. I did not do that to any of my bullies, but there have been since then some kids who brought guns to school and shot up their schools because they were bullied and things like that. So it really kind of brings that home. Yeah. And then of course another Christmas song, "The Night Santa Went Crazy," which is a pretty dark Christmas song, darker even than Christmas at Ground Zero, where basically the world is coming to an end. In this case, Santa goes crazy and yeah, ends up in jail or ends up dying, depending on which version you listen to. Weird Al recorded an extra gory version, which you can find on his Medium Rarities album. But you can also find it, I think, on a single somewhere. All right. So if you've been paying attention and you've been keeping track, you'll know which one is my number one Weird Al album. That would be "Running with Scissors," another album that I've got signed by him, because he did two book signings when he released each of his children's books. I attended each one and was able to get an album cover signed as well. So of course, yeah, it opens with one of my least favorite openers, "The Saga Begins," which is a parody of "American Pie" by Don McLean. Now, "American Pie," iconic song, but "The Saga Begins" was of course about Star Wars Episode One, which is just a really bad movie. So it's too bad it couldn't be a better movie. But yeah, the reason that this is number one is because he really parodied a lot of the bands and that I was listening to it at the time. "Pretty Fly for a Rabbi," a parody of "Pretty Fly for a White Guy" by The Offspring. "Jerry Springer," one of his most off-color songs, but it was a parody of "One Week" by the Bare Naked Ladies, which is one of my favorite songs from the '90s. Then of course you have oh what else do we have here? Okay, so you have "It's All About the Pentiums." Again, that's a rap song. It's a parody of a song by, I think it was known as Puff Daddy at the time. I think he goes by P. Diddy now, but, song, "It's All About the Benjamins" by Puff Daddy is what it's parodying. So not a rap fan, but I love Weird Al's rap songs, and "It's All About the Pentiums" is probably my one of my favorites. You may have heard of nerdcore rappers, and you know, folks like MC Frontalot or Optimus Rhyme. So some people will say, yeah, Weird Al was actually the original nerdcore rapper with his song "It's All About the Pentiums" and "White and Nerdy" and things like that. Then, of course, you have "Grapefruit Diet," parody of "Zoot Suit Riot" by the Cherry Poppin' Daddies, which, I was never really into swing all that much, but my dad really loved the Cherry Poppin' Daddies. So whenever I'd go over to his house, he'd often have that song playing, So that just kind of reminds me of hanging out at my dad's and listening to some of his songs, such as "Zoot Suit Riot." And then, of course, the long song that started it all, "Albuquerque," which is sort of like a stand up comedy routine set to music. It's just a monumental undertaking, and yeah, it's really funny. But you know, if you're not a huge Weird Al fan, I don't know how much you're going to get out of it, because you have to appreciate Weird Al's sense of humor, and if you've never heard of Weird Al, you're probably not going to want to sit through 12 minutes of Weird Al's what do they call it? stream of consciousness regarding this long string of non sequiturs regarding something that allegedly happened to him when he was 26 and a half years old. So yeah. Oh, your horoscope for today. Another one of my favorite Weird Al originals. It's a ska song. I don't know if it was specifically in the vein of any particular ska band. It sounds a bit like Real Big Fish, but but it's definitely at least a genre pastiche of ska, and it's just really funny song about these fake horoscopes, and it goes through all 12 uh, signs of the zodiac and about their supposed predictions and things like that, and then polka power. Polka power is not my favorite Weird Al polka. I think the alternative polka from Bad Hair Day would be my favorite Weird Al polka, just because it's based on alternative rock bands, whereas Polka Power is really based on a wide variety. He has Closing Time by Semisonic, and I was huge into Semisonic when I was in high school. Their album, was it Feeling So Fine, I think? Yeah, the one with Closing Time on it, and other songs like D&D and uh, Secret Smile, things like that. That was one of my favorite albums that I had when I was in high school. So yeah, Closing Time, and then of course you have Semi Charmed Life by Third Eye Blind. But then you have songs like Wannabe by the Spice Girls, which I didn't care for, but my sister was huge in the Spice Girls, so I was definitely definitely tortured with that. And then you have Everybody Backstreet's Back by the Backstreet Boys, and my sister and brother both loved boy bands, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, you name it. 98 Degrees. So yeah, so I got tortured with that as well, and those are included in Polka Power. Uh, yeah, sorry for the sniffling again, but well, there you have my list of Weird Al's least best to best albums, in my personal opinion. Um, just once again to reiterate the order: number 14 was Mandatory Fun. Number 13 was UHF, Original Motion Picture Soundtrack and Other Stuff. Number 12 was Weird Al Yankovic. Number 11 was Alpocalypse. Number 10 was Straight Outta Lynwood. Number 9, Alapalooza. Number 8, In 3D. Number 7, Polka Party. Number 6, Dare to Be Stupid. Number 5, Even Worse. Yes, I can count backwards. Number 4, Poodle Hat, not pictured here. And then number 3, Off the Deep End. Number 2, Bad Hair Day. And number 1, Running with Scissors. Okay, well, there you have it. This channel hasn't really amassed a huge following yet, but if you happen to come across and you've watched the video, let me know what your favorite. If you're a Weird Al fan, old or new, let me know what your favorite Weird Al Yankovic albums are, or your favorite Al songs if you like. Yeah, so that'll do it for today, and yeah, I'll see you all next time.